As a college football fan that watches the NFL just like a little bit more casually, I find it fascinating to have watched the NFL draft over the last few years and see a clear like cause and effect between the changes in college football and what the NFL draft now looks like. And I feel like this year's draft in particular has probably been the most clear example of how those changes have impacted the next level of this sport. So today I really wanted to go through some of the changes we saw and the numbers that back them up and kind of talk about the real winners and losers of the draft here, which I will say the winner is college football. Loser, me, because I have hair in my mouth. Also, Diego Pavia, probably. Garrett Nussmeier, probably. That was mean. I'm sorry. I think people are mad about these changes, which, like, I don't care. I don't care. Cry me a river. Obviously, I care a little, though, if I'm sitting in front of a camera, writing, filming, and editing a video about it. So I do care, but, like, not in the way that I think other people care about this. I don't care about the production in rounds 4 through 7 of the NFL draft. I care about the trends we're seeing there. So before we get to a little NFL talk, but mainly college football talk, I'm Lucy. I make college football propaganda. I think I'm going to call it at this point because that's who we ride for here. If you're a college football fan, please subscribe to this channel because I've asked nicely. Said please. There's no reason not to. So first, what are the issues that the NFL or NFL media fans are seeing with this? First, it's that the talent in rounds 4 through 7, it seems that there's a more significant drop-off in years past, where with NIL and with the fact that NIL is becoming more lucrative every single year, there just seems to be less incentive for someone who would be maybe a 5th-round draft pick to leave early. It makes more sense to stay another year at your university or perhaps even transfer to get more money out of the portal, more than you would make in the NFL. An example of this I really love is that Riley Leonard a few weeks ago came out and said, I made more money at Notre Dame than I do now playing for the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm fine with that. What Riley Leonard provided to Notre Dame was more valuable than what he's providing to the Colts. And if he's compensated as such, that's fine with me. And so you're seeing a lot of people follow that trail of like, okay, well, I could go to Texas Tech for an extra year and make significantly more than what I'm making at the NFL and get to stay in college another year. Like, that sounds sick. Where even if you're looking, where I know the context of this is rounds 4 through 7, but even if you look at Ty Simpson, he allegedly got an offer from an ACC school that shall not be named that was going to pay him more than he would be making with his Rams deal, and he was a first-round draft pick. And so you're just seeing that the talent pool has kind of shallowed out a little bit for the NFL, especially in those later rounds. And like, I don't care. I like that players are staying in college longer. Do I love how much they're moving around? Not necessarily, but I like that there are recurring faces and names and characters in college football that keep this sport thriving. And obviously, if you're new to this channel, you may not know I am so pro everybody getting paid all the time. I want everybody to make money, and if you're doing it in college, that's great. If you're doing it in NFL, that's great, but I want everyone to get paid for the work they're doing. That's why you have to subscribe, so I get paid for the work I'm doing. My takeaway from this is we'll talk about what I'm more concerned with the NFL draft and the college football trends we're seeing, but my question really is, what I'm left with pondering here is, when does this affect the NFL's bottom line enough that there seems to be action? The NFL is king in this country, and they decide what works and what doesn't. It is their world, and we're simply just living in it. But if you're taking their event, the NFL draft, which the event itself is a social experiment that we can get into another day. It's a very weird environment. And now it's less lucrative for the NFL, whether that's fans aren't going to want to go as much because they don't know who these players are, even though I don't think that's going to be an issue. And people aren't going to tune in because 4 through 7, you're hearing names you don't know. Like, this year alone, there was a player drafted who never played football before. Like, that's really crazy that that's happened. When does the NFL step in and they do something about this, or do they rework the draft? I'm not sure. I honestly think I'm probably overdoing that in my head. Most likely the NFL got 1 billion viewers for that. The draft and everything is fine, and they made a lot of money, and Pittsburgh made a lot of money, and everyone's going to be happy, and there are going to be no problems. But nonetheless, it is a trend that I'm seeing that I'm curious what the NFL's reaction to is going to be. But what concerned me more, and it's not even a concern, it's just like dang. Like, it's just something to be sad about. The jarring sort of differences in the lack of representation from conferences in the draft picks. For the first time in 47 years, the FCS did not have a single player drafted in the first 3 rounds. I believe the first 4 rounds, 90% of the players drafted were from Power 4 schools. 60% of those were SEC or Big Ten. I'm just rattling stats off the top of my head, and they may be wrong because I'm rattling them off the top of my head. I believe there were 14 Group of 6 players drafted and 39 Power 4 players drafted who had transferred from the Group of 6. It's interesting to watch a hierarchy be built in real time. FCS, Group of 6, depending on what school you're at, they could be the same level, to then the lower level Power 4, ACC, Big 12, to then the Big 10, SEC, and then the NFL. That's becoming now the more traditional path to playing professional football, which I find fascinating. I just think it's interesting to see that. And it does make you sad because it is fun to see a guy from Toledo get drafted high or someone you might not know who stuck around. It was sad to sort of see those numbers in front of you and see the gap between the SEC and the Big Ten and the rest of college football. It's pretty significant, but it's just been a really interesting week just looking at the numbers of like how much college football is really impacting what happens in the NFL. And I love having that power over you, Roger Goodell. I'm the captain now. But I just find these trends kind of fascinating, and I'm curious to see if they keep getting wider and there's a bigger gap between the two, which I think there will be, and if eventually sort of college football NIL starts to cut into the NFL's bottom line too much. Because obviously there is a limit on eligibility, but every day you see people pushing that. Diego Pavia was in college for 12 years, in the NFL for 0, most likely. Once again, that was mean. That was mean and unnecessary. So yeah, I'm curious how the NFL reacts to it, but it's interesting to sort of see the trends built in real time. And if I were in college, I'd write a thesis paper on this. But I'm not in college because I took my talents to the NFL. That's why. But if you liked this video and you want more college football content during the off season, please give me a subscription. Just press subscribe. Just press it. It's right there. Click. Click. That's it. And I said please. There's no reason not to. Once again, I'm being so nice. I'm asking politely.